I've got an HL15 from 45 Drives. I've got a Jill Telling.
What's up?
And I've had a really fun couple of days. Today's video is brought to you by me. Check out craftcomputing.store for all of my official merch and help fund the content that you enjoy watching here on the channel. From custom laser-engraved pint glasses to coasters and whiskey stones, and even our brand new double-wall insulated coffee tumblers, all of my merch is designed 100% in-house and made to order by me. I'm also now offering flat-rate international shipping to 23 different countries, and if you live in the continental US, free shipping on orders over $35. So, what are you waiting for? Head on over to craftcomputing.store and start drinking like a pro. Cheers, everyone. Welcome back to Craft Computing, everyone. As always, I'm Jeff, and if it wasn't obvious, I'm nowhere near my office today. I am in the 3D Printing Nerds World Headquarters, if you want to call it that. Or
we can call it that.
Yeah.
I mean, it's my studio, but we'll call it 3DPN World HQ for now.
I like that, yeah. So, Joel and I have been talking for quite some time about really his workflow when it comes to video editing and storage, and how we can possibly improve some of that workflow. Obviously, we've been talking with 45 Drives, and we've got a shiny new server to get you all set up here with. But tell me what it is that you're working with now and why we're going through all this.
Well, what I have right now is I have a PC in my office at home, and I have a MacBook, and that's what travels with me. And both of those are responsible for rendering the episodes that show up on the channel. And we work with a couple different editors, and we sync footage and assets with them using Google Drive. And then once a project is done, I archive that off onto an Unraid box, which is kind of slow, doesn't have a lot of memory, and it has just 24 mismatched drives of varying size and speed, and you know, Unraid does a decent job at managing that, but being able to edit on device and allow access to device and make the copy from Google Drive or local to device much faster.
Yes.
That would be super beneficial.
Yeah, so you've got some hardware at home, you've got an Unraid server, you've got, what did you say, about 100 terabytes of
just south of 100 tera.
Yeah, so of usable storage, but no real way to use that to the advantage of a video editing workflow. And that's where this guy comes in. So instead of having to load your footage onto Unraid and then copy it to an SSD, which you can then use on your laptop, but then also sling the data up to Google Drive, give to your editors, they download it off there, edit it, make any changes, re-upload any changes, you then have to re-download that, do your final edit, your final render, and then archive off maybe if that happens as the final step.
Right, that's an if, because it's a manual step, and so there are times when I have to sync hundreds and hundreds of gigabytes. I mean, thankfully, I do have symmetrical gigabit fiber at home, and I know that access to the server and being able to pull stuff up and down from Google Drive is easy to do, but still, it's a manual process that's fraught with danger, and this is going to help.
Yes, so like I said, 45 Drives was kind enough to send this out. We've been talking with them for a couple of months about Joel's workflow in particular and how 45 Drives might be able to help. And I thought this would be a fantastic opportunity to show off their new HL15 server. Obviously, I've done an unboxing and brief review of the server over on the channel, but I thought it was going to be a fantastic fit for you as well.
Well, what's really great about the HL15 that I learned is they use 3D printable parts in the production of it. So the parts that hold the drives in place, cable management and wiring harnesses, fan brackets, even the sleds that the SSDs fit into, they're all 3D printable, and the models are all freely available over on their printables account. And I thought, what better way to showcase a practical use of 3D printing than to show a company using it within their production.
it really was kind of a match made in heaven of all the parties involved here. So obviously, we couldn't leave well enough alone. So Joel and I spent yesterday printing out some colorways for the inside of this box. And
it comes with black pieces, and I wanted blue, and gosh darn it, we printed blue pieces.
I fought for green, but it is Joel's server, so
you did. It was a valiant fight.
I let the Quad Zero FF win out.
Blue.
So, yeah.
Blue.
Blue, like
blue.
It's all blue.
It's all blue.
Everything's blue around here.
We blew ourselves.
Yes. Anyway, if you want to watch all of that process, go check out Joel's channel, 3D Printing Nerd, over on YouTube. We're gonna have a link to that video down in the video description as well.
Thanks.
Yeah, no problem. But for my audience, they might be a little more interested in what is running inside of here, what the actual hardware is.
Right. Well, this is a great collaboration between Jeff and I because we can cover so much ground where I can cover the additive part and how 3D printing is important and works, and then we can do a nerdy deep dive into all of the technical aspects of the HL15 as a home lab storage server.
Yes. So, inside of here, we've got a Supermicro motherboard running an Intel Xeon Bronze 3204 6-core CPU. It's not the fastest CPU in the fleet, but for getting 10 gigabit file transfers and running a couple services that we'll dive into in a minute, it is more than adequate enough. Plus, it's one of the lineup of CPUs that is compatible with ECC registered memory, which, especially when running Z-Pool, ZFS arrays, that's a very important thing to make sure all your zeros and ones stay in the proper orientation when you're writing it over to the hard drives.
Okay, so quick question. On
Yes.
the technical side, ECC memory does it double check itself?
It is called error correcting code.
There
it
we
is
go.
automatic error correction. So when your data is in flight, if you're writing from an SSD or transferring something over the network, what happens is as it's writing to the SSD or to the hard drive array, it's going to memory first and then writing down to the drives.
Okay.
While it's in memory, it makes sure that whatever is written is what it has. There's a
I see.
checksum at the end of each value.
Oh, I understand. That seems imperative for server builds.
Exactly, yeah. It makes sure everything stays the way it should.
Cool. I like that then.
Yeah. Also inside, we've got 32 gigabytes of DDR4 registered ECC memory. Depending on Joel's needs, we may actually expand that in the future, maybe up to like 96 gigs. But we'll kind of see what your use case is and then throw more memory at it if we need to.
That was really cool. You said the memory would just be a drop-in, so there's no configuration that's needed. You simply put, what, a DIMM inside?
Yep.
Or 2 or 3 or 7,
Four.
however many.
Yeah.
4, okay,
Yeah,
4
more.
DIMMs. Yeah, 4 more, and then it's good to go. So that's a really kind of cool thing to look forward to if need be.
Yep. Obviously, we've got the 6 fans keeping everything cool. It's not the quietest server in the world, but it is far quieter than a lot of other, large format servers like this. Your
And
Dells,
my
your
Unraid
HPs,
server.
and your Unraid server. I haven't heard it, but I've heard tale.
Listen, the case was cheap on Amazon. Like, Unraid is very DIY, so it makes sense to throw a bunch of mismatched drives at it and to get an extremely affordable, like $350 case on Amazon. But when you couple that with half as many fans as this and twice as many spinning discs, it's loud and it's heavy, like me.
As far as drives go, we've got 10 Toshiba 7200 RPM 16 terabyte disks. So we're looking at about 160 terabytes of raw storage. That'll be just shy of 130 terabytes of usable storage once we get it into the Z-Pool.
Oh, right, because it has to do the that's what ensures your data is good. It's
Exactly.
Your failover disks.
Your parity is what we call
thank
it.
you.
Yes.
Yeah, parity.
So we're going to have a RAID Z2, otherwise known as a 2-disk parity, on here. If you want more information about RAID, I did a full video on ZFS and RAID years ago. I'll link that one down below as well. For SSDs, we wanted some high-speed storage in this. Again, our goal is to let you edit your videos directly off of this.
Right.
For that, we've got 5 Micron 5400 series SSDs at 1.92 terabytes each. We're going to run those in the same RAID Z2 configuration, and you'll end up with about 5.5 terabytes of usable high-speed storage.
That's perfect. Really, right now, no project that we have is over. Like the largest project I think we've done in recent memory is just shy of 200 gigs, and that's everything, like everything. And even in the future, as we introduce higher density camera sensors and higher bandwidth codecs and more footage and stuff, 5 terabyte, like, I still think that's going to be very future-proof.
It's going to give you a lot of room to grow, and that's just going to be what your active production is. That's what you're going to edit off of. We're also going to set this up so he writes data to the SSDs that is automatically archived off to the spinning drives. He doesn't have to manually move files to get it out of production anymore.
I love that.
Yeah.
Any sort of automation we can introduce into this workflow to make things better is just music to my heart, man.
Yeah. Joel also mentioned, because he does have a MacBook at home and his family also uses a wide variety of Apple devices, we're also going to set up a VDEV on here that is just for Time Machine backups.
Yes,
so
yes.
A service in his house that is very desperately needed, that's not an Apple little white box with a spinning laptop drive inside. This will give all of his devices at home the ability to back up to them natively.
Oh, dude. Like, thank you.
You're welcome. That's why I'm here. So that's pretty much the rough plan. Joel, it's been a heck of a lot of fun setting this up with you, but it's time for me to get my hands dirty and do what I do.
Well, the printing part, obviously, I have an edge. I have some knowledge there. But this stuff, man, I'm just going to watch you work.
All right, let's get to it.
Let's do it.
Cool.
Now, unfortunately, I was only in Seattle for about 48 hours, actually exactly 48 hours, and I had to get home for some other obligations. I didn't get a chance to finish Joel's server there in his office, so instead, I VPN'd in, did all the configuration, and then rather than making you guys watch it twice, we just met in a Zoom meeting a couple of days later, and we went over all the configuration and showed Joel how to use the server. Also, you'll have to forgive a little bit of my audio in this next section. My interface device decided to go all crazy a couple of times during the Zoom call. Not sure why, but it decided to like triple my gain a couple of times and overblow things. I've corrected it as much as I can, but it should be at a listenable level. So, enjoy. You know what, Joel? By the way, that was a fun couple of days, wasn't that?
That was a good time, man. That was a good time. I hope you enjoyed yourself. Like, we got to drink tasty beverages twice.
Yes.
Twice. One of them with the internet as company.
Yes.
You got some amazing Thai food.
The Thai food was fantastic.
Oh, by the way, the storage server is actually running right under my desk, right here.
Nice. I'm going to pour myself a beer. I hope you don't mind.
Oh, you should. You should absolutely do that.
Right.
I have driving obligations later, so I'm going to imbibe later.
Well, I am home for the day, so...
Yeah, see, you are free and clear. You've got the kitchen pass.
That's right. All right. So your server is up and running. You've been telling me you've already got some stuff being transferred over there, but let's go ahead and show you some of the inner workings of this now that it's all together.
I can't wait, man.
So, for the audience at home, I'm actually VPN'd into your network, so I can actually do all this remotely. Nothing's exposed to the internet, but instead you kind of open the door and let me in. So that's how
right.
we're doing
Right. You knocked really nice, and I let you in. You wiped your feet before you came in. You were very kind.
Of course. So you already know the IP address of your server. We've got that configured. Right now, the way you log in is with the root account, and the root account is set up with the same password as your username, as your 3DPN username.
I saw that.
So I'm going to go ahead and log in real quick.
There it is. Look at that.
So this is the dashboard of TrueNAS, and at a glance, you can kind of see what your server is up to, the status of your drive pools, everything else. Right up here, we've got our CPU. So again, we've got that Intel Xeon Bronze 3204, 6 threads. I will say, as a little bit of a spoiler alert, I made sure to synchronize your files from your SSD over to your backup server once, or your archive drives already. This hit about 40% utilization. So
really
fantastic. Yes.
Wait, okay, so that's good. So
yes.
So explain to me. So utilization is 0 to 100, correct?
0 to 100, right.
And 40% means that we're still underneath half of its purported ability.
Exactly. Yeah.
And that's internal transfer. So it's going zippity zoop too.
It's going literally as fast as it could possibly go. And the CPU was only spiking at about 40%. So
that's great.
Yeah, you've got all the headroom in the world to do more than just file services with this.
Perfect. That's what I love to hear.
So we've got 32 gigs of RAM, and like I told you in studio, but as a quick refresher for the audience as well, ZFS loves RAM and will use all of the available RAM that you give it as a cache space. And since you've been transferring files over, you can see that we're using almost all of it, 26 gigabytes for ZFS cache. 1.3 gigabytes free, which is exactly the way you want to see ZFS being utilized.
Oh, and that's why in storage servers, utilizing ZFS, a really high level of RAM means that you're able to cache more.
Exactly.
Got it.
Yep. So if you find over long transfers or like really large projects that you see some slowdowns, probably the first thing that will adjust is getting you some more RAM on the server, because that'll allow you to cache larger projects.
I see. Oh, because it would all transfer into the RAM cache.
Exactly. We've got 2 storage pools set up. So your spinners, I went ahead and named Rust, because that's always an adequate name for
They're old and rusty.
Drives. That's exactly right. We've got 10 disks in there. You can see the pool status is online, and there are 0 errors. And even though you've transferred some stuff, you've barely even scratched the surface, so we're at 0% utilization. The one thing to keep an eye on in this window is going to be this pool status. So it'll either say offline, it'll have a little red X or an exclamation point if there's a problem. So it'll say degraded or something else, and that's when you would need to take action.
That's what I would call you.
Exactly, yeah. But yeah, you've got 110, almost 111 usable terabytes in here. And again, this is running in a ZFS RAID Z2. So you have a 2-disk parity. You can lose 2 disks at any time in any order, any of those 2 disks, and you will not lose a single byte of data.
Which is great. And really, 1 disk is decent, but 2, the chances of there being more than 2 disks going down, especially at a enterprise level with the right, like the same disks, and it's very, very uncommon, right?
It is, yeah. It's extremely uncommon, and for a pool this size, 2-disk parity is, I think, more than enough. Then down here, I thought of the fastest blue thing that I could, and so your SSD pool is named Sonic.
I love it.
So you've got 5 SSDs in there, and again, same kind of thing. We're running a RAID Z2. You could lose 2 of your SSDs, and you're not going to lose any data. And we've got 5 terabytes of usable storage in there. So, upwards of 50 projects you could hold in that space before you
That's amazing.
ran out of space. And this is going to be your working directory, and I'll show you exactly how that works in just a minute. Down below that, we've got our network interfaces, and so you can see one of them is online right now. There's your IP address, there's your current link speed. I did leave you some 10 gig network gear. And,
yes, you did.
Yes, so as soon as you're ready to get all that set up, just give me a ring and I'll walk you through that.
Dude, I can't wait. It's going to be amazing.
If we go down on the left tab here, let's just go ahead and click on storage, and this will give you a little bit more information about the storage pools themselves.
I see.
So here is your Rust storage pool. You can see the amount of used space, the amount of free space right here at the top. And then underneath these are what's known as datasets. And this is, if you think of Rust as a root directory, these are just subdirectories, but you can give them different properties inside of this. You can give them different compression. You can add certain features if you want to enable or disable. For the moment, they're just kind of logical segmentations of your storage, though.
So logical segmentation, but we can also do other types of segmentation and grouping and all. I see what you mean.
Exactly. So right now you have 3 data sets within here. You have archive, which is going to be a copy of all of your video production. And again, I'll explain that in just a second. I set up a storage directory, and that's just for generic storage. And then this next one down here is Time Machine. And speaking of special permissions, this one is set up a little differently because it is set up with a Time Machine flag to enable all of your Macs to see it as a Time Machine directory.
Oh, so you can just set a flag, which is a property on it, and then that allows the Mac to see it as a specific kind of resource.
Exactly.
Oh.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So yeah, it is set up as a Time Machine destination. And so what you're going to do is you're going to mount this directory onto your Macs the way you would any other network drive, but your Macs will automatically see this as a valid Time Machine destination.
Cool. Now, since we have multiple Macs in the house, does each person need their own user account on the storage server to then point to the Time Machine store, or should there be a generic Time Machine user account that everybody uses?
You could do it either way. I prefer having each user with their own account.
Okay.
That way, when that Time Machine gets written onto the storage, when you're doing the backup, that user only has access to their backups.
Okay. So then the Time Machines would be user controlled at that point.
Exactly.
Cool.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
That is the basics of your storage pool here. The next thing, snapshots. And what snapshots are is once per hour, the way I have it set up. So let's look at your SSDs now. That's going to be probably your most critical one, because that's going to be where all your current video projects are going to reside. You want to make sure that data is safe, secure, untouchable, including from, oops, I accidentally deleted a file or moved something and now I can't
it should be
find
oops proof.
Right.
Oops proof.
Exactly. So the way I have this set up right now is we are doing what's called taking a snapshot once per hour. And so any data that you move on there at the top of every hour, ZFS is going to take literally a picture of what your data looks like.
And this is at the bit level.
This is at the bit level, at the block level is what we call it.
Block level, thank you.
Okay. Every hour, any data that changes, it's going to save only that changed data in a secondary snapshot. And then the third hour, it's going to take any changes from that subset. The cool thing about that is if you ever delete a file, you can go back in time and just grab that file. And your production data set is going to keep those snapshots for 2 weeks.
And this is on, so this is on the SSDs. Mm-hmm. So then if I'm working on a project on the SSDs, I accidentally delete something, and as long as it's been an hour, I can get it back.
Correct. Yeah, wow. As long as one snapshot has taken place, you will be able to recover that data.
That's cool.
The other thing that we have going on is also once per hour, we're slinging all of the data from the production SSDs over to your archive directory on the spinners. So
that's perfect.
Yeah, so anytime you upload data to your SSDs, once per hour at the top of every hour, it's going to take that data and copy any new data over to your archive.
So then it's not a synchronization.
It's not a synchronization. Okay. It is a push copy task.
Okay. Oh, so then anything on the SSD wins over anything same named on the archive.
That's exactly correct.
Okay.
But if you delete something from your SSDs, it also doesn't delete it from the archive.
Right. Which is exactly what you kind of want in that archive, because then you can be a little loosey-goosey on your SSDs doing stuff, and then if for some reason 3 days ago you're like, oh crap, I need this thing, it's going to exist, not even in a snapshot, but actually on the archive, on the spinning disks itself.
Correct.
Why would we take a snapshot every hour and do a push copy every hour? Where does the snapshot exist within the storage?
So on your SSDs, we are taking a snapshot of the data on your SSDs. That snapshot still exists on the SSDs. What we're doing is we're copying all that data over to your archive as well. That way it's on a second drive pool.
Oh, I see.
So that is the 3-2-1 backup method, where you have 3 copies of your data, 2 different locations. There you go. Now, ideally, we would also be slinging some data off-site, which will probably integrate Google Drive into your workflow at some point. So we can keep an archive copy somewhere. But this ensures that at any point in time, as soon as you copy data to your SSDs, you have 2 copies of that data on 2 different data sets.
That's cool. That's really cool.
And this is the way that I operate mine as well. The way this actually works is actually exceedingly simple. If I go over to tasks and then click on cron job, this is the job right here.
Oh, that's it. It's just an rsync.
It's an rsync task. It's an rsync that keeps all the archival data, and so your create date, your metadata, all of your tags within the file, and it pushes it up, and it ignores any overwrite requests. So it will automatically overwrite any existing data that is there. And that'd be same named files. Exactly.
But that's proper, because you've got to figure if I make a change on the SSD, then I want that change to propagate.
Exactly.
Okay.
Right. But this also gives you the ability to, once you're done with a project, once you've rendered it and you've got your final render and you're all happy and whatnot, the next day you can come into work and you can delete that project file off of your SSDs, and you've already archived your data onto the spinners.
Well, right now I have a portable SSD I bring with my Mac on location to copy footage to and from and do edits from and stuff. And every once in a while, I have to synchronize that with now Google Drive. And then once I can remove things from that. And this is almost the similar thing, but at my own server level.
Right.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm on board for this.
It's an exceedingly simple task. And like I said, it's just set up to run once per hour.
Whether I'm logged in or not.
Whether you're logged in or not,
powered
this just runs in the background. It always runs. So, right here, I've gone ahead and brought up your share drive, which is your production share. And you've already copied over some files for me.
That's right. That's right.
So here's a project that we're working on. Let me see if this will play locally here on my computer. Hey, look, there I am.
Look at that. Well, now, of course, when we did this, right, we have my video and your video and your video.
Right.
We filmed part of it in my studio, and that's the best part. I didn't have to create an external Google Drive share for you. I'm just like, oh yeah, you're on my server. Here, Jeff.
Right.
Here's a link. Here's some footage.
I'm gonna VPN in later. Just put it on your server. I'll grab it.
Put it on the server, totally, and there it is. Look at that.
Yeah.
Oh, it's amazing.
Yeah.
So, like, unlike you, I do run symmetrical gigabit, so you should have no problem downloading.
Exactly. Yeah. So, but anyway, this is the footage that you uploaded to your SSD, right? So this is on the Sonic pool. Well, I'm gonna bring up this right here. This is your archive pool.
Oh, and there it is. And there it is.
All the data's already
that's
there.
Cool.
You didn't have to touch a thing.
No, I didn't. And so when you've got it all, I will delete it off my SSDs, and it will still exist in the archive just as archival data. Brilliant. And what's great is I don't have to copy just to the SSD to get it to the archive. Like my current Unraid server, when I have everything together, I can copy straight to the archive.
Correct. Yeah. So if you're actually wanting to back up your data from your Unraid server, just copy that directly to archive. There's no reason it has to touch the SSD pool first.
Excellent.
So yeah.
ZFS is cool, man.
Yeah, no, it is super cool. And yeah, my favorite feature of ZFS is really snapshots. The other thing is we've already taken snapshots of this directory here while we've been talking. So I'm going to do something crazy here. I'm going to just delete this file. Okay. So that is 23.12.14.002. Okay.
Okay.
It's gone. It no longer exists on your SSD.
Okay. There it goes.
Now I could go over to the archive. I could find that file. There it is. And I can copy it back over, right?
Yep.
Here's the cool thing about snapshots. If I right click on this folder and go down to properties, there's a previous versions tab right there.
Yep.
If I click on that, hey look, there's a previous version that was recorded at 3 p.m. I'm going to open that up. This is that snapshot. I can take this file and copy it right back over. And that's directly off the SSD.
Oh, so the snapshot actually exists as something accessible by the file system.
Yeah. So this is that file as it existed at 3 p.m.
But okay.
And then
I don't know. That's kind of cool. Like,
and there's your file. Do you want to see it again?
It's like no. It's like you're taking a peek back in time.
It's exactly
It's
right.
like you're a fifth dimensional being at this point, right? You take a peek back in time. You're like, I want this thing.
Yeah.
And then you bring it into the current time.
Right. I'm a Rick and Morty testicle monster. That's yeah. But yeah. So you're working around and you go, oh shoot, I accidentally deleted that 800 megabyte audio recording. Now I'm gonna have to recover that from the archive or whatever. No, you can go properties. View previous version. Here's one that was taken at 3 p.m. You can double click that to open up that file, and you can find that missing file.
I love it because there's options now. I can either go back in a previous version or I can rescue it from archive and neither one of them is necessarily better than the other. It's just proof of that 3-2-1 strategy, right?
Exactly. That's exactly right. It's showing off that the system works.
Cool. Yeah. Dude, I understand this stuff. I did, like I told you before, I did IT for Marybridge Children's Hospital in Tacoma, Washington. And I was born and bred like DIY PC building, and so I have an inkling of server stuff. Obviously, you have more, but I still have enough. And what you've shown me gives me dangerous levels of confidence, and I'm excited to go exploring.
It is so much fun. The cool thing is we're still only kind of scratching the surface of like what ZFS can do. You mentioned, wanting to edit video directly off the server. While Unraid gives you a massive amount of storage and you can just kind of throw disks at it and it goes, yeah, whatever, give me more.
It's JBOD, right? Just a bunch of disks?
It's JBOD. It's just a bunch of disks. The problem with JBOD is the read and write speed is limited to the single drive that you're going to be reading and writing from. And so you're limited to, about 25 to 30 megabytes a second? Does that sound familiar?
On a good day.
On a good day. Right. This, at any point in time, uses a combination of the ECC memory and all of the disks striped together.
Yeah.
So that's kind of a crash course in TrueNAS, in ZFS, in what your work will look like from this point out.
That was really cool, though, as far as a crash course go, because I got to see a lot of really simple ways to do really powerful things that are going to be extremely well received in my workflow. Like, this is going to make my life easier at home and at work, because we're going to have the Mac Time Machine stuff taken care of, and it's going to be reliable. I'm going to have my work stuff taken care of, reliable and accessible externally. I'm going to be able to share it with like Jeff. This is like 45 drives, that HL15 and TrueNAS, from what you've shown me, is like the proper solution to do this. I love this.
Yeah. I love TrueNAS. I love 45 Drive's own solution in their Houston UI using Rocky Linux as well. This is not a, they didn't do something right. That's an incredibly powerful solution as well. I feel that TrueNAS is a little bit more user-friendly, especially if you don't live in the Linux space day in, day out.
It makes a lot of sense. Well, and you said 45 Drives, like I was worried. I was like, shouldn't we show their thing? And you're like, no.
Yeah.
45 Drives loves this.
They love open source. TrueNAS itself is open source. And that's the cool thing about this, is if you've ever looked at any NAS appliances that are out there, it's like, oh, let's look at this Synology. You run Synology software, or you don't use the hardware. That's the cool thing about 45 Drives, is they're born and bred of open source. And so if you want to run someone else's software like TrueNAS's, be their guest. It's totally cool.
Oh, I'm excited, dude. This is gonna be a lot of fun.
But yeah, we talked workflow of, your existing workflows used to send all your files up to Google Drive.
That's right.
Why not just allow your editors to VPN in and just pull it down off your symmetrical gig? You might not even need Google Drive anymore. They can just pull it down off your NAS.
I know. Well, at least, or pay for the extra storage needed to host all of this stuff.
Right. I mean, we both know how expensive, online file storage can get rather quickly.
It's like it's exponential.
Yeah, it adds up pretty quick. It really does.
It really does.
So,
I really appreciate this, man. This is going to be a lot of fun.
Huge shout out to 45 Drives once again for kind of making this all possible. I mean, this was a collaboration we've been talking about for 3 or 4 months now.
Months. This has been months.
Yeah, this has been a huge thing in the making. If you didn't see the video with 3D printing nerd Jill Telling over on his channel already, we did a full custom job on the inside of this server because 45 Drives uses 3D parts in their production. Really cool video. Make sure you go check that out. I will have a link down in the video description. Joel, anything that you can tell my audience about your channel as well?
Oh, well, so I'm Joel, host of 3D Printing Nerd, where we inspire and educate while all having a really good time. We cover the field of additive technology, so 3D printing, additive, it means the same thing, all the way from the $99 machines that you can get at Micro Center to the multi-million-dollar machines that businesses use to make parts for airplanes, cars, and boats, and the DoD. It's a lot of fun, and it's very useful. And part of what really made this integration here exciting is that we got to customize a networking appliance. Now, storage server is, sometimes they're tucked away, whatever, but the inside I got to customize and it felt really good because they use 3D printed parts for production, as Jeff said. So anyway, hope you come over and see what we have to offer.
Absolutely. Oh, and my SLS 3D printer, that's in the mail, right?
Yeah, absolutely. 100%.
Perfect. Anyway, thank you all so much for watching. Joel, this has been so much fun. Let's make sure to do something like this again. I think I'll be in town in February, so
I think February, maybe we should do this again. What do you say? I'm excited.
I think we'll do something. Anyway,
we'll do something.
Thank you all so much for watching, and as always, we'll see you in the next video. Cheers, everyone.
Bye, everybody.
Is that when the intro rolls?
That's,
the beer and all that kind of stuff?
Yeah.
Good.
Yep.
Yep.
Breathed in too much. God.
Saliva, man, it's a killer.
Usually I have a beer to help clear my throat. This is, yeah.
Soon.
Yeah, soon.
I got a cider in the fridge.
I didn't say no.